GENMOJI, on the other hand, I have not been having a good experience with it.
Where is it in the app?
Good question.
Where is it on my
Very
phone?
good question.
I've seen.
I had the exact same thought. I was like, where does this thing even exist? I'll show you where it exists. You go to your text messages, open up to Jordy. I go, click on the emoji thing to pull it up, and then you can say describe an emoji, and then you go into the GENMOJI flow. I don't know if you can see this, but it will let you describe an emoji. And so then I should be able to see, like, peanut butter guy or whatever. But I tried to get it to describe the original gun emoji and it just freaked out and was like, I don't know. And I think that's what speaks to this, is that there is a lack of risk taking right now.
It's crazy that kids in the year 2030, emojis will be so nerfed by then. They'll be like, you could send a revolver.
Yeah, that's literal violence. And you're like, no, that's actually not what literal means. Literal means literal, but now literal means figurative.
Yeah.
But I have a little riff on this, and then I want to go to you. You posted a great tweet here showing the switch in culture from the yin and yang campaign that they ran for, I think this is the original iMac. They have one in black, one in white, and it's kind of a silly, quirky design in the same way GENMOJI is quirky. It's like you could see through the computer. It was very risk-taking, but it was delivered in this like beautiful black and white ad campaign. And then GENMOJI says, imagine it, GENMOJI it, and it's this silly peanut butter and jelly thing.
And people have made some heinous photoshops of these.
Oh yeah, tons. Lots of NSFW stuff going out there. Lots of stuff we wouldn't show on this network. But I do have a take on this, which is that I think GENMOJI is the perfect encapsulation of the lack of risk taking at Apple. And I go back to the launch of the iPod. So when Steve Jobs launched the iPod, he pulls it out and he's 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it was amazing. It was groundbreaking. But what was the unspoken part of that announcement? Where were you getting 1,000 songs from?
Yeah.
You were clearly downloading them illegally. Obviously. Very few people, some people really did take their massive CD collections, rip them all legally, and then put them on their iPod. But for the vast majority of people.
My dad would do that.
Yeah.
He'd be like, Jordy,
yeah,
I got this album.
but this was during the Napster era, the Kazaa era. For the vast majority of people, they would download illegal music, put it on their iPod, and create playlists and stuff. And that's where it was. And then, but he had the foresight to know that the iTunes Music Store would eventually become so ubiquitous and so valuable, and Spotify would happen, and eventually the music would be legal. But he wasn't going to back down from this idea that legally we're not doing anything wrong, even though we are enabling piracy and making piracy like higher leverage, more enjoyable, basically.
Totally.
And so it was super risky. Now compare that to GENMOJI. Like, if you give someone a tool to make a pistol emoji, they're going to do it. And Apple will like look bad.
Interesting.
But you have to give the user agency and let them do that. And instead they're acting as like, we're putting up the bars, we're creating this walled garden, we're not letting you express yourself.
That's a good take.
And so I was just like, okay, that's where I feel like this culture, it's not so much that GENMOJI is like a bad product, although I think the name is a little silly. I can get behind that. It's that they have just changed from, we're going to let you do something a little crazy, a little edgy, but we're going to protect our brand. And the iPod, we don't remember it as like a piracy device. Yeah. But that's what it was. But they've really clamped it down. And so
that's a good take. That's a good take. We should make some GENMOJIs and stop judging them, joking about them. And we should start utilizing them in our daily life and use them for a week and then decide to make a judgment on it. Are you making one right now?
I'm trying, and it doesn't work. It says continue by choosing an inspiration. Choose a person.
Do a solid gold podcast microphone.
Okay, let's see.
Or actually, no, a white gold.
Some descriptions may create unexpected results. And so continue by choosing an inspiration for the person in your GENMOJI. So like, okay, I'm going to make like this guy, and I'm going to try and describe him as Mickey Mouse and see if that works. And it's just very rough. It's just not smooth. And they could have just integrated a Midjourney style.
Well, that's the issue with all of their new hardware is reliable, right? You have no doubt that the 16E is going to be easy to use. The new software that they're rolling out, GENMOJI Apple Intelligence, is just rough. It's not software that Steve would have rolled out. And that's sad, because Apple is his legacy and he deserves better.
Yeah. But they're printing, and hey, I got a gold podcast microphone for you. here. Okay, that actually looks like what I would expect a Gold Podcast microphone to look like. We'll need to share it later, but yeah,
what's
not
the other
there.
mustache man
that was when I said Mickey Mouse, and it asked me to pick a person, and that's what I picked.
Yeah, so you had said this before. AI and generative design is so not Apple coded, and that Apple is about pixel perfection.
Yep.
And and AI is about getting something that's 80% of what you wanted.
Yep.
At least in its current state. And so that's why you tried to make Mickey Mouse. And
I guess my other critique is that like I'm kind of okay with them saying, look, there's this chaos going on in the generative AI world. We are going to delegate that to, hey, there's a ton of apps that we're allowing in the store. You can use Midjourney, you can use ChatGPT, DALL-E, you can go and generate images on Grok in the X app. And what happens there is fine. We're not really going to police it. But then I think Apple needs to be rock solid on integrating stuff that is safe. And what I mean by that is the fact that their text-to-speech engine is terrible still.
Yeah.
I should be able to go to any website and instantly click, read this to me, and it should read it to me in a great voice. And there's no reason why they can't just integrate. They have a better voice model. They just haven't integrated it everywhere. And it's just slow product movement.
Yeah, it's interesting how the failure of Siri, like let's call it what it is. That's a failed product if it's on every iPhone and none of our friends use it, right? Who are much more likely to want to adopt new products and sort of be at the cutting edge. And maybe we're not the customer. Maybe the customer is elderly people that don't know how to use their phone and they're just using it to Google. But even if you look at the text to speech to text, it's also bad. Anytime I get a text that just like seems like, is this person drunk? It's because they were using the like speech to text
because they haven't integrated the latest Whisper. And Whisper is an open source model that they could have cloned. You know, they could partner with 11 Labs. They could buy 11 Labs. They have plenty of money.
And so I mean, when I poke fun at Apple, because I've had a bunch of posts now, kind of mocking them to some degree. The F1 post where I'm like, stop, doing this GENMOJI stuff. Just commit to being a scaled brand and buy an F1 team. Like that would make me like Apple more than your GENMOJI garbage.
Totally.
But I do that because in a small way, I want to play my part in Apple returning to the company that it was.
100%.
Right? It used to stand for creativity and inspiration. It was a brand that when they did a campaign, you actually cared.
It's out of love that we're critiquing.
Yeah, it's out of love. I
do genuinely love the products.
I grew up using Apple products. I didn't use a PC until I was like a teenager. Like actually, and I was felt
PC
blessed.
Master Race all the time.
Gaming,
building NVIDIA cards. I was
I just grew up
Macs all the time.
I grew up with it, and it's my probably favorite product company ever by a long shot, and I love it. And they're just running it. They're running it into the ground.
It's also just remarkable that they were able to create a brand that has the same vibe and affinity as like a Nike. It really is the Nike of tech, but tech is so boring and not aspirational, as opposed to Nike. It's like, you put them on Michael Jordan, your brand's going to be great, right? But it's harder to do that with any tech product.
And every kid that grew up, obsessed with Apple now, I think of people like Jordan Singer, Brandon Jacoby, these sort of incredible, some of the best designers of their generation. They all are sad about the state, like genuinely sad, and
hopefully something changes.